Hey gang, welcome back to the 30 Days to Real Estate video series. My name is Joe Bell. I'm a real estate investor, entrepreneur, coach, mentor, all kinds of fun titles in there. I've been in this game for 14 years and we've gone all the way across different titles, different roles, everything when it comes to real estate. And you are watching this video series. This is our mind map, and we're rolling through some of the different considerations, strategies, a lot of information in this map. And understand at any given moment you can download this map. Just hit the link and you can go in and purchase this map, and it can be all yours. So it includes all the spreadsheets, the insights, tips, tricks, strategies, everything that we put into it, and some of that you'll see we're covering today. So in our last video, we talked about contractors and how they can make or break your deal, and some of the considerations that you should go through when deciding to hire or consider a contractor, and their experience, and all the stuff that goes into that, because it's a pretty heavy decision. Essentially, when you're considering that, even the slightest of oversights and expenses can really run your project amok. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. So we're moving from contractors to analyzing properties. All right, fairly straightforward, but we're going to dive in a little bit as to what that looks like. So for this example, we're gonna say, hey, we've found 3 opportunities. We're going to dive into some of the exit strategies specifically, but for now, time being, we have 3 properties, and these are the considerations that you need to take into consideration. Sorry, I said that twice, but so first, is this a good opportunity for a fix and flip? Is this quick cash, right? And quick means however long it takes you. A lot of people are, they watch these reality TV series and they crack me up. So the 3-day flip or the 7-day flip, super cool if you can pull it off. Hasn't been realistic in our world. So, but is this quick cash? Is this a 6 to 8 month turnaround? You need to evaluate that and have an understanding of that when you go into it, so you know exactly how the money is going to flow, right? Are you gathering money? Are you raising funds? Or are you specifically utilizing your funds? How's that all look, right? So is this a fix and flip? Is this a fix and hold? So the fix and hold has actually been a really great way to increase the bottom line when not needing that immediate return, right? If you've got percentages that you're paying on a monthly basis, a lot of times holding on to that property isn't going to necessarily net you more gains at the end. So the other strategy piece to this is short-term, long-term gains, and that's a really good conversation for a accountant or legal, so that you get a real good feel for that piece of it. But typically you can add to your bottom line and bypass some of the short-term gains challenges when you look at more of a fix and hold scenario. There's a lot of books out there that you can dig into to get further information about this specific strategy. So I'm not really going to dive into it too much here. So wholesale, basically that's putting a property under contract and then selling that contract over to somebody else that wants to buy it, whether it's an investor or another buyer, right? And then you basically take the gap. So if you have a property under contract for $200,000, you find somebody to purchase it for $210,000, $215,000, right? You just take the middle of that number. It's a real quick, easy turn. They can even pay you cash specifically for the contract itself. So rather than increasing the price, you're saying, hey, I'll sell you this contract for $200,000 for $10,000. Easy peasy. It can happen in a matter of hours sometimes, right? So so that's a fun one, and it's a good source for quick cash in that regard. Lease options. So this one, there's a lot of information that you need to dive into on this one. Specifically, it's basically just a lease. you're making a payment for the option to purchase at a future date, right? Typically they're 3 to 5 years, but there is that option payment, and it's a non-refundable option payment in most cases when you're working with a tenant to move into this property. Right, so you go and you negotiate with the seller. Hey, I'd like to lease your property for $1,500. Maybe pass them over a small option payment. Maybe it's $1,000, and then for the next 3 to 5 years, you have that lease amount in place, right? And then what you do is you go find a tenant, and essentially you negotiate a lease payment for $1,800 with a $5,000 non-refundable option payment with a future price for that property. So in a nutshell, that's how a lease option works. There's lots more to go into, and again, just probably isn't the place for me to dive in wholeheartedly and highlight the specifics in that. Really good opportunity. Again, it can mean quick cash, and it can really help homeowners that are needing to get out of their house and they just want some form of option in place so they can go do what they need to do. Short-term rental, Airbnb, VRBOs, essentially finding properties that are ideal for that. Typically a lot of upfront costs if you're going to purchase the property, fix it up, or maybe it's already fixed up, and then turn it around for a short-term rental. If it's not furnished, you got to take that into consideration. If you're going to have to pay for all that furniture that's going in, right? Or you can find a homeowner that is in need of doing something with their property, negotiate the ability to short-term rent it and Airbnb out it yourself, managing the property or handing it off to a management company of some sort. So there's another option. This isn't really an exit strategy for obtaining a property and getting out of the property. This is more of the process involved in what you do with the funds, right? The biggest challenge with the 1031 is this word right here, intent, right? You have to show intent that this is a long-term process for you. So if you, let's say you go and you buy a fix and flip, 8 months down the line, you go to sell it, you want to do a 1031 exchange. The intent wasn't necessarily there unless you can back it up, right? Say, oh yeah, no, I was going to hold on to it. This came up and now we're selling it. We're going to 1031 exchange the funds so there's no taxes paid on those funds in that short window of time that you held the property. So definitely something to look into, learn about. It's a great strategy, but again, it's typically more of your long-term plays and being able to shelter your tax earnings, right? Taxes on your earnings. So, all right, ARV. Let's talk about ARV. That's the after repair value. You find a property, okay? You say, oh, we can pick it up for $150,000. And what can we sell it for? So after repair value, so you fix it up, what could you sell that property for, right? You have to have some time in the game to get an understanding about this. So whether that's pulling a real estate professional or doing your own market research, I hate to say it, but Zillow now has some decent information for figuring out past sales and getting a real good idea of what that future value could look like. Or go and see if you can find sales on the street in the last 3 to 6 months. All right. So we talked about the contractor being a really important piece of the equation. Getting this after repair value piece is another super important factor, because if you miss on that, I would rather you go in and be super conservative on your numbers than doing what a lot of people do and being very optimistic about those numbers, right? So even when I have some pretty solid information about what a property can sell for, I typically will discount it, 5%, somewhere in there, just to make sure that we're able to make money on a fix and flip or a fix and hold, right? I want to be as certain as is possible when you don't have a looking glass or something that says, hey, here's how much money you're going to make down the line. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen, right? So you do your best to guesstimate that as much as you can and as close as you can. So how we like to build in the revenue from a property is by focusing on this 60% ARV, right? So if we say a property is worth $200,000 after repairs, we want to go and focus on getting that property for $120,000. That builds in our ability to make money, right? Because typically you're going to, I'm not going to dive too much in that. 60% is just a really great number because at that point you're probably putting another 25% into the fix up and repairs, and that leaves you that 15%, somewhere in that range, to take care of closing costs and then profit, right? And when we are going after properties in our market, we typically highlight properties where we think we can pull 40,000 off of a project, and we default to 30,000 just because that's a real good, comfortable range, and that also is our property specifics when we are out looking for different opportunities. And when I say property specifics, basically I've got a target range in mind. Usually it's a 1,800 to 2,200 square foot property. I try and stay away from split levels. Nothing against split levels, but split levels are just a harder sell. So 1,800 to 2,200, we like to pick them up in the 250 range with a ARV around 399, 400 range, and that gives us enough gap to be very comfortable in moving forward with that purchase price. If we go above 265, it's typically because it's just a really good opportunity. Otherwise, 250 and under is really where we like to focus. So just want to give you an idea about what that looks like. Before I dive into the budget and profit model, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here with what we just covered, because the budget and profit model are gonna, again, take a minute to go through, and I want to make sure that I deliver that in a real good manner so that I don't bypass some of the really important aspects of the budget and the profit model. We take the time going through that so it's covered and you feel really, really good, really, really confident about that, right? Again, all this information is here for your purchase. Just go click on the link and you will get everything that we're covering here in this map, and it should really help you when approaching real estate investing and building up some confidence and feeling like you have some sort of tool in your belt if you've never really dipped into real estate before. This gives you a good breakdown, and then you got to go start applying it. You got to get into activity, and through that experience, right? It's just how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's what we're going through. You're taking bites, and we're building up so that we get the confidence and we get the courage to go ask people for money, or if you have the money, go and make an offer. And next thing you know, you're going to be acquiring properties, and this thing will be just second nature to you. So I'm stoked that you're here with us. Thank you for the attention to this. I know that there's all kinds of other things in this world that you could be spending your time on right now, and you chose to be here. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next video. Adios.